I'm Carol Anderson. As the sun began to rise over the quiet suburban neighborhood of Austin, Texas, I was out in the backyard enjoying my morning coffee as usual. Even at 62, this habit hasn't changed. It's been 2 years since I retired, but I still wake up at 5 a.m. every morning, a remnant of my long years as a teacher, I suppose. "Good morning, Mr. Whiskers," I called out to the neighbor's cat as I gazed at the flowers in the garden. Bluebonnets and Indian paintbrushes were vividly coloring the Texas spring. Every time I see this view, I'm reminded of how glad I am to live in Austin. Taking a sip of coffee, I reminisced about my 30 years working for the Austin Independent School District. As a special education teacher, I had faced countless children. I could still see the smiles of students with developmental disabilities and learning difficulties. I wonder how those kids are doing now, I thought to myself, feeling a mix of nostalgia and a touch of loneliness. Now that I'm no longer teaching, what can I do? As I pondered this, I heard the phone ringing inside the house. "Hello, this is Carol." "Mom, it's me, Sarah." It was my daughter Sarah's voice. At 35, she lives in downtown Austin with her husband and 2 children. "What is it, Sarah? It's unusual for you to call so early." "Mom, I need to talk to you about Lily." I could hear tension in Sarah's voice. Lily is my 8-year-old granddaughter. Lily has been diagnosed with a developmental disability. For a moment, I was at a loss for words at Sarah's statement. But I quickly regained my composure. "I see. Tell me more about it." After hanging up the phone, I took a deep breath. I felt that my 30 years of experience were needed now more than ever. I arrived at Sarah's house that afternoon. Her home in downtown Austin was surrounded by a bustle quite different from my suburban neighborhood. When Sarah opened the door, I could see the fatigue on her face. "Mom, thank you for coming." Sarah hugged me. As I rubbed her back, I could feel some of her tension melting away. "Where's Lily?" "She's playing upstairs. I kept her home from school today." As we entered the living room, I saw a diagnostic report on the coffee table. The letterhead of the Austin Children's Autism Program caught my eye. "Let's sit down and talk," I said. As I sat on the sofa, Sarah took a seat next to me. "Is Mark still in Afghanistan?" "Yes, he's expected to be there for another 4 months. Sarah's husband Mark is 37. He's in the Air Force and currently on a long-term deployment." "Tell me about Lily." Sarah sighed deeply and began to speak. "Lately, we've been getting frequent calls from the school. Lily can't concentrate in class, she can't play well with friends. The teacher thinks Lily might not be understanding instructions." I could see tears welling up in Sarah's eyes. "So you had her diagnosed at the Austin Children's Autism Program?" "Yes. The result is..." Sarah picked up the diagnostic report and handed it to me. There, the words, "Autism Spectrum Disorder," were clearly written. "Mom, what should I do?" Sarah's voice was trembling. I held my daughter's hand tightly. Sarah, don't try to handle this alone. Let's think about it together. But Mark's not here, and I'm worried about what the neighbors might think. Sarah's words revealed her feelings of loneliness and anxiety. I could clearly sense the difficulties my daughter was facing, the stress of raising a child, her husband's absence, and isolation from society. Does Lily know about the diagnosis? Not yet. I don't know how to explain it to her. Seeing Sarah's hesitation, I carefully chose my words, reflecting on my 30 years of experience. It's important to understand Lily's individuality. Instead of labeling her with a disability, let's focus on finding Lily's strengths. Sarah nodded silently. We'll get through this together. If there's anything I can do, just let me know. At those words, Sarah's expression seemed to soften a bit. However, I felt that this was just the beginning of a long journey. A few weeks had passed since I visited Sarah's house. I called Sarah almost every day to check on Lily's condition. She seemed to be becoming more positive little by little, but that morning, a sudden phone call changed everything. Mom, help me. Sarah's voice was shaking, and I could hear her sobbing. I immediately jumped into my car and headed to Sarah's house. The journey that usually takes 30 minutes only took about 20 minutes that day. When I arrived at Sarah's house, the front door was wide open. I entered, but the living room was in disarray, and Sarah was nowhere to be seen. Sarah. Lily. There was no response to my calls. Filled with anxiety, I went out to the garden. There, I saw Lily trembling in front of the chicken coop. Lily. Are you okay? As I rushed over, Lily clung to me, sobbing. Grandma. Lily's body was cold, and her thin pajamas were damp with morning dew. What happened? What were you doing here? Lily, still crying, began to speak in a trembling voice. Mom. Mom said I wasn't family. She kicked me out. Those words made my heart ache as if it was being squeezed. How long have you been out here? Since last night. The thought of her being outside all night pained my chest. I picked Lily up and carried her into the house. Sarah. Sarah. Where are you? I could hear faint sobbing from upstairs. When I knocked on the door of Sarah's bedroom, a hoarse voice replied, "Come in." When I entered the room, Sarah was sitting on the bed, hugging her knees. Her eyes were swollen, her hair was disheveled, and she was clearly at her mental limit. Sarah, what happened? Mom. I can't do this anymore. I don't know what to do about Lily. Sarah's words were broken. The stress of parenting, her husband's absence, and isolation from society, all these factors had pushed Sarah to her limit. Did you put Lily outside? I don't remember. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Sarah broke down crying. As I hugged my daughter, I realized the seriousness of the situation. Sarah, listen. You need to rest now. I'll take care of Lily. Sarah nodded silently. But you need help too. Have you considered counseling? Yes. With Sarah's agreement, I decided to take Lily home with me. Before getting into the car, I gently spoke to Lily. Lily, let's stay at Grandma's house for a while. Mom needs some rest right now. Lily looked anxious but nodded slightly. As I drove away, I let out a deep sigh. The road ahead would certainly not be smooth. But for Lily's sake, for Sarah's sake, I knew I had to do what I could. A few days had passed since I brought Lily home with me. On the first night, Lily looked around the room anxiously. Lily, this will be your room for a while. You can use it however you like. I spoke gently. Lily nodded slowly and began to cautiously walk around the room. The next morning, I woke up early to prepare Lily's breakfast. Drawing on my special education experience, I made sure not to put any unnecessary items on the table so Lily could eat calmly. Good morning, Lily. Breakfast is ready. Lily came into the kitchen, rubbing her sleepy eyes. Pancakes. I like them. I smiled with relief at Lily's words. After breakfast, we went shopping at the nearby H-E-B grocery store. As we entered the store, Lily suddenly became restless. What's wrong? It's noisy. Lily was covering her ears with both hands. Realizing she was sensitive to noise, I quickly responded. Lily, want to try these on? I took out noise-canceling headphones from my bag and handed them to Lily. When she put them on, she seemed to relax a bit. On our way home after shopping, we met a man doing yard work in front of the neighboring house. Hey, Carol. Long time no see. Hello, Jim. You look well. Jim is a 65-year-old retired veteran. I knew he was dealing with PTSD, but we didn't interact much usually. Who's this? This is my granddaughter Lily. She'll be staying with me for a while. Lily looked up at Jim shyly. Hey, Lily. My name is Jim. Nice to meet you. Lily returned a small smile to Jim's kind face. If you'd like, I'll bring over some tomatoes from my garden tomorrow. Do you like vegetables, Lily? Lily nodded slightly. Thank you, Jim. We're looking forward to it. When we got home, Lily looked a bit tired. Lily, do you want to rest? Or would you like to draw? I want to draw. I handed Lily a sketchbook and colored pencils with a relieved smile. As I watched Lily start drawing, I hoped that this new life would become a safe environment for her. It will be a long journey, but we'll take it one step at a time. With that promise in my heart, I sat next to Lily and watched over her drawing. About a week after Lily started living with me, Jim from next door brought tomatoes as promised. Hey, Carol. How's Lily doing? At Jim's kind voice, Lily shyly hid behind me. Thank you, Jim. Lily, let's thank Uncle Jim. Lily mumbled a small, thank you. Jim smiled gently. Lily, would you like to see my garden? There are lots of vegetables and flowers. Lily looked up with interest. I was a bit surprised. Usually, Lily is very wary of strangers. Do you want to go? I asked Lily, and she nodded slightly. Jim's garden was surprisingly beautiful and well-maintained. Tomatoes, cucumbers, eggplants, and a variety of colorful flowers were in full bloom. Wow, it's beautiful. Lily's eyes sparkled. Lily, would you like to touch this red tomato? Jim offered a ripe tomato to Lily. She hesitantly reached out and touched the tomato. It's smooth and warm. Seeing Lily's expression soften, I felt a warmth in my chest. From that day on, Lily spent time in Jim's garden every day. Touching the soil, helping with watering, and sometimes pulling weeds. I felt these activities were having a positive effect on Lily's sensory integration. One day, Jim confided in me. Carol, actually, I'm battling PTSD. Gardening helps calm my mind. Hearing those words, I realized something. Could there be similarities between Jim's PTSD and Lily's developmental disability? Jim, have you noticed anything about Lily's behavior? Well, she sometimes becomes sensitive to sounds suddenly, or repeats the same actions. I've had similar experiences. I felt both surprised and relieved at Jim's words. Actually, those are characteristics of Lily's developmental disability. Jim nodded understandingly. I see. Maybe my experiences could be of some help. From then on, Jim started giving lots of advice about understanding Lily's behavior. His insights were fresh and valuable to me. Lily, Jim, and me. I felt that this unexpected combination was slowly but surely expanding Lily's world. Just as life with Lily was starting to settle into a routine, the day for a regular checkup at Austin Children's Medical Center arrived. Lily, we're going to the hospital today. Are you okay with that? Lily looked a bit anxious but nodded. When we arrived at the hospital, the waiting room was bustling with children. Lily seemed a bit tense due to the noise around her and held my hand tightly. Lily Anderson. As the nurse called her name, we headed to the examination room. When I opened the door, there was a familiar face. Miss Carol. Is that really you? The female doctor in the examination room exclaimed in surprise. Emily. Is that you? The person in front of me was Emily Johnson, a student I had taught 20 years ago. Now she was a 40-year-old child psychiatrist. Miss Carol, how have you been? I never expected to see you here. Emily showed a warm smile. Emily, what a surprise to meet you here. You've become a wonderful doctor. Lily was tilting her head, watching our conversation. Oh, I'm sorry. This is my granddaughter Lily. Emily smiled gently at Lily. Hello, Lily. I'm Dr. Emily. I'm going to check how you're doing today. Lily seemed to relax a bit at Emily's gentle demeanor. As the examination progressed, Emily explained Lily's condition in detail. Miss Carol, I've heard about Lily's developmental disability. There's actually a method called applied behavior analysis, or ABA therapy. It might be effective for Lily. Emily continued her explanation enthusiastically. ABA therapy is a treatment that analyzes behavior in detail and reinforces appropriate behavior. I'd like to personally assist with Lily's treatment. It's my turn to give back what I learned from you, Miss Carroll. Emily's words brought tears to my eyes. Thank you, Emily. That's really reassuring. After the examination, we made the next appointment and left the hospital. Once we got in the car, I asked Lily. Lily, what did you think of Dr. Emily? Lily thought for a moment before answering. She was kind. I want to see her again. I smiled with relief at those words. I felt great hope in getting professional help, and that it had made a good impression on Lily. As we headed home, I thought to myself, the circle of support for Lily's growth is expanding, slowly but surely. The road ahead won't be easy, but I was confident we could move forward one step at a time. About a month after Lily started regular treatment with Dr. Emily, I received a call from Sarah. Mom, I need to talk to you about something. Sarah's voice seemed less tired than before. What is it, Sarah? Actually, I've started participating in an online support group for military families. It's called Military One Source. I felt surprised and delighted. Sarah had taken a step to seek help on her own. That's wonderful. How is it? At first, I was honestly reluctant. But when I participated, I found so many people with similar worries. I could hear Sarah's voice gradually becoming more lively. There are even military families with children with developmental disabilities. Listening to their experiences, it made me feel like I'm not alone. It's a bit reassuring. Sarah continued. Someone said, there's no such thing as a perfect parent. But we can be the best parent for our child. Those words made my chest feel warm. That's right, Sarah. You're doing your best. Mom. I'm sorry. That day, Lily. Sarah's voice trembled. I gently continued. That's in the past now. What's important is from here on. Yes, I want to see Lily. But I'm still not confident. You don't need to rush. Lily is thinking about you too. After hanging up the phone, I told Lily about the situation. Lily, your mom wants to see you. Lily was quiet for a moment, as if thinking, but then said in a small voice. Mom, is she okay? Yes, she's okay. She's getting better little by little. Lily's expression showed relief. Over the next few weeks, Sarah started calling regularly. She would ask about Lily's condition and talk about her own feelings. One day, Sarah said, Mom, I want to see Lily. I think I'm ready. Those words made me feel deeply relieved. It had been a long journey, but we were finally ready to take a step towards restoring our family bonds. Just as we were preparing for Sarah and Lily's reunion, sudden news came in. Mark had been injured during his mission and was returning early. Mom, Mark is coming home. Sarah's voice was mixed with joy and anxiety. That's good news. But is it a serious injury? He seems to have injured his left arm. But they say it's not life-threatening. Mark's return became a major turning point for the family. When we greeted Mark at the airport, his expression showed fatigue and bewilderment. With his left arm in a sling, he embraced Sarah and Lily. "I'm home," Mark's voice trembled slightly. Back at home, Mark began to inquire about the family situation in detail. Lily's diagnosis, Sarah's struggles, and how I had temporarily taken Lily in. "Why didn't anyone tell me?" Mark's voice was filled with frustration and regret. "We didn't want to worry you," Sarah answered in a small voice. Mark let out a deep sigh, then said with determination, "We're a family. From now on, let's overcome this together." At those words, we all teared up. However, reality wasn't simple. Mark struggled to adjust to the family's new daily life after his long absence. Lily also became unstable at times due to her father's sudden return. "Daddy, I'm scared," Lily cried out, startled by a loud noise, and Mark couldn't hide his confusion. "Mark, take it slowly," I gently advised. Mark nodded and quietly approached Lily. "Lily, it's okay. Daddy's here." At those words, Lily gradually calmed down. Mark began to work on reintegrating the family, utilizing his leadership skills from the military. He also started counseling at Veterans Affairs VA, facing his PTSD while trying to build new relationships with his family. "Our battle isn't over yet," Mark said. "But this time, we'll fight as a whole family." At those words, we all nodded firmly. Difficulties would continue, but if the family united, we could surely overcome them. With that belief, we decided to move forward, one step at a time. 6 months after Mark's return, on an early summer day, we planned a family trip to Zilker Park Botanical Garden. Lily, Sarah, Mark, and me. The time had finally come for our long-separated family to spend time together. "Is everyone ready?" Mark called out as he drove the car. "Yes." Lily's voice was unusually full of anticipation. As we arrived at the park, we were greeted by a colorful array of flowers. Lily seemed a bit nervous, but when I offered my hand, she grasped it firmly. "Look, it's a bluebonnet." Lily suddenly cried out, pointing. We looked at each other in surprise. "Lily, you know a lot about flowers," Sarah said, looking impressed. "Yes, Uncle Jim taught me. It's the state flower of Texas." Lily proudly continued her explanation. "Indian paintbrush, angel's trumpet, and Texas sage." She listed the names of plants one after another and explained their characteristics. "My Lily, you really know a lot," I said, feeling a warmth in my chest. Mark and Sarah stood there, mouths agape. I had no idea she knew so much. Sarah's eyes were welling up with tears. I felt overwhelmed with gratitude for how Jim's gardening activities had influenced Lily. As we walked through the park as a family, Lily continued to teach us about the plants. She seemed like a completely different person from the introverted Lily of before. When we sat on a bench to rest, Mark quietly spoke up. We might have been limiting Lily's potential. Sarah nodded and said, "You're right. Lily has her own wonderful talents, and we didn't see them." "But it's not too late," I gently told them. "What's important is from here on." The whole family nodded strongly at those words. On the way home, Lily fell asleep in the car. As Sarah gently stroked Lily's hair, she said in a small voice, "Mom, thank you for saving our family." "It's nothing, Sarah. We're family, after all." That night, after returning home, I quietly made a resolution. Seeing Lily's growth, I realized how important it is to understand developmental disabilities. I decided to start activities to promote understanding of developmental disabilities in the local community. As I watched over the family's reconciliation, I thought to myself, this experience has helped all of us grow. Not just Lily, but we adults too have learned the importance of understanding and accepting each other. There will be challenges ahead. But with family bonds, we can overcome any difficulty. Believing this, we were ready to take a new step forward.